Shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Waharakah Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to you brothers out there on all the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Now, I want to go into a little piece here from Jeremiah 31. And as you can see, even the people that put the Bible together for the blue letter have put a little title at the top of their pages, and more time their titles are on point. It says here, Israel's mourning turned to joy. So the subject is Israel. It's not mankind. It's not humanity. This is not a humanitarian book. The Lord made it very clear who he was speaking to in regards to salvation. So let's read from verse 1, and I want to get something out of the textual commentary. It says, "At the same time, saith the Lord, will I be the God of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people." Now, I have a playlist on my channel called "And They Shall Be My People." And if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's edification on the fact that from the very beginning, the Lord chose a particular seed to be his people. He will be their God, and they will be his people. And that hasn't changed. And that narrative has been consistent throughout the entire Bible, all the way down to Revelations. All right. And we see it here being mentioned again. This goes back to the covenant with Abraham in Genesis 17th chapter. All right. The Lord was always intending to fulfill that covenant towards the seed of Israel. So at the same time, said the Lord, will I be a God of all the families of Israel. Now, remember that. It says all the families of Israel. Because you see, what Esau Edom tries to do when he gets into the Bible, he tries to equate Jews with all Israel. Jews with all Israel, which is not accurate. It's not historically accurate. The Jews, meaning the citizens of Judea, did not represent the entirety of all the families of Israel. One, because the majority of the 10 tribes were not a part of the Judean Commonwealth. Two, there were Jews, members of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, who also were not part of Judea, who had been Hellenized and scattered among the nations. So the Jews really represented a remnant of the kingdom of Judah that remained. And that's a part of the history that the goofy Christians do not want you to know and understand when you're reading in the New Testament. Because if you read the New Testament from the point of view that the only Israelites that existed were the Jews of Judea, then yes, when it starts talking about other people, then you would have to come to the conclusion, well, okay, well, these are the other nations because the only Israelites are the Jews. So that's one of the witchcrafts and the follies that these goofy Christians tries to pull. So that's why I'm drawing your attention to the fact that it says here that the Most High will be the God of all the families of Israel. That's including the families of Benjamin, Judah, Levi, but also Ephraim, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, you know, all of the tribes on down the line. Hence, when you go to Revelation 7 chapter, the leadership, the government of Zion, of Jerusalem, is the 12,000 from each tribe. Not 12,000 Jews, but 12,000 from each tribe, okay? It says, thus saith the Lord, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. All right. The Lord hath appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. And again, so when you go to John, the 3rd chapter and the 16th verse, and it speaks about that world that the Lord loved so much that he gave his only begotten son. This is why we tell you that world is talking about Israel. Because it can't be talking about Esau. Can't be talking about mankind, for one, because the Lord never declared his love for mankind. Two, the Lord already said that Esau, Edom, he hates. And he also said that the other nations are as a spittle. They're like the dust of the balance, a drop from a bucket. It says, Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. All right. And that's what the Lord's doing. That's what the gospel is all about. The gospel is the loving kindness of the Lord towards his people, the Israelites. In the times in the New Testament, you had Israelites that were Jews and Israelites that were Greeks. That's why the scripture says there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek, the Hellene. It says, and I will build thee, and thou shalt be built. What's the Lord building? New Jerusalem. O Virgin of Israel, thou shalt be adorned with thy tabrets, and shalt go forth in the dances of them that make merry. Thou shalt yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. Now, the mountains of Samaria was the inheritance of Ephraim, showing you the Lord. This salvation is not talking about Jews; it's talking about the entire nation of Israel, including Ephraim. The planters shall plant and shall eat them as common things. All right, meaning we're going to have abundance. For there shall be a day that the watchmen upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion, right, Jerusalem, unto the Lord our God. All right, because according to the law, we present ourselves 3 times a year. That's going to start happening and again. Now, this is future prophecy because this hasn't happened in a very long time, since way back. The Ephraimites have not pilgrimage from Samaria into Jerusalem. So when is that going to happen? And it can't happen now, because guess what? They're going to tell you that the 1948 fulfilled Israel returning to the land. So where's Ephraim? And where is their pilgrimage to Jerusalem? Oh, goofy. All right. Because again, their focus is in the Jews. Where's Ephraim? All right. Remember, in the kingdom of heaven, the land is going to be once again divided among the tribes. That's how Israel is supposed to be, in our folds. The state over there isn't divided among the tribes. All right. For thus saith the Lord. Yeah. For thus saith the Lord. Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Lord, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Now, isn't that what the funny thing is, right? Isn't that what we are doing? Isn't it funny? Like, these men, oh, you guys, we are literally manifesting the prophecies in these last days. We are among the nations, among the chief of the nations on top of that. So this is right? Because where are we? We're among the chief of the nations, beginning with America. Right? Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Lord, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Or, now let's get it in one of these translations so you can see. Let's try this one. All right, the DBY. For thus saith Yahweh, sing aloud with gladness for Jacob, and shout at the head of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, Yahweh, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Okay? That's what we're doing. That is literally what we're doing. All right. That's the gospel. That's the good news. It says, "For I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with them the blind, the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return. Then shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn." Hear the word of the Lord, O ye nations. Again, what are we saying? "And declare it in the isles afar off." Are we not declaring it? "And say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. And is not Yahushua known as the great shepherd? Did he not charge us to be shepherds over the flock? Did he not charge Peter to be a shepherd over the flock? And that's why the Lord said, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. And did he not say, other sheep I have which are not of this fold? That's why it's important to understand that the Jews of Judea were not the only Israelites. The Lord had other sheep that were not of that fold. He said, "The Lord hath redeemed Jacob." These are the things that we're going to be shouting and proclaiming. "The Lord hath redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he." This is prophecy. This is all about the Messiah and what the Lord is going to do. And this is what we're preaching. This is the good news. But there's nothing in here about humanity. And this is the problem that Christianity has. Now, I want to go back up here. I'm going to show you how goofy these Christians have to get to hide what's really being said in the scriptures. That the basis of God's faithfulness is his everlasting love. uh, Look at this madness. I ain't even gonna read all that, man. They're struggling. See, the reason they're struggling is because they've invented this thing called Christianity and Christians, and having Christians be a separate entity to what the scripture's actually talking about, and they just can't fit it in. They say there's a church and then there's the actual seed of Israel. No, there's only the actual seed of Israel, man. And then the congregation of Yahweh are the Israelites that follow him. It's not hard. Then you ain't got to do all this foolishness that you're about to do there. It's quite funny to me when you read them trying to get around it. Oh well, yeah. He says he loved Israel, but shut up, come on, man. Anyway, I wanted to get straight to a point. Right, so listen, again, I will rebuild you. God's loyal love to Israel will remain, that he restores and builds them, and this is assured. Israel's restoration will mean joy, dance, and abundance. The watchmen of Israel will not need to warn of approaching enemies, but they would welcome pilgrims on their way up to Zion, to the Lord our God. All right, there we go. Let's see. So there you go. And why we ain't gonna be worrying about enemies? Because we ain't gonna be under the curses. That's why the scripture says in Revelations, the 22nd chapter, there shall be no more curse. Right? We're going to have the nations in subjection. Right? Sing with gladness for Jacob and shout among the chief of the nations. This was news so good. This is the good news, the gospel, that it should not be heard in Israel alone. All the earth should hear of God's salvation to Israel and give praise for it. I mean, come on, what's the problem here? Behold, I will bring them. God promised to gather this is where, look at this now. God promised to gather the Jewish people from, no, where did we read anything about Jewish people? Where did we read anything about Jewish people? Did it not say all the families of Israel? So why is he putting Jewish people? The reason he's doing that is because he's a Zionist. And the Zionism is about a group of people who call themselves Jews and Jewish. So what he's now going to do is try and use these scriptures to justify 1948. And that's why he's mentioning Jewish people. That's why the scriptures speak about feigned words. And this is what these goofy Christians have done. Behold, I will bring them. So God promised to gather the Jewish people from all over the earth, and a gathering so complete that even the blind and the lame come. A great throng shall return there. That there is not merely a returning to Yahweh, it is also returning to the land. The promise of the land remains for Israel. Now, couple things. First of all, the Zionists were atheists. They didn't believe in the Most High. They used the Bible as a reason that they could go and take that land. But the Zionists were atheists. And I got a whole video on my channel about that. That's a fact. So straight away, it didn't say they got to return to the Most High. They didn't return to the Most High. If you go over there to the state of Israel, that you didn't have to worship the Most High to return over there. You got atheists over there. You got the so-called Jews that are secular, that have different religions and worship different gods. So it's crazy. A great miracle happened in 1948. See what I told you? When Israel was once again established as a Jewish state. But hold on. Israel was never a Jewish state. This is the point. Judea was a Jewish province. Israel was never a Jewish state. When Israel existed as Israel with the 12 tribes, it was not a Jewish state. It was Israel. Do you see what these guys do? That what was created in 1948 has nothing to do with ancient Israel, with King David and the 12 tribes, because that was not a Jewish state. And that's why the Israel of today does not resemble the Israel of old in any way, shape, or form. According to any metric, it doesn't represent. It doesn't even have the same money. Doesn't have the same money. Doesn't have the same language. Doesn't have the same government. There's no king. All right. It says when Israel was once again established as a Jewish state in their ancient land, as wonderful and miraculous as that was, it does not yet fulfill the glory of this promise. Israel is now gathered on belief. This will only be completely fulfilled when Israel comes to faith in Yahweh and his Messiah. Well, it didn't fulfill it in any way, because they're not the Israelites first and foremost. The Lord ain't part fulfilling anything. When the Lord bring us back into land, it's because we have returned unto him. And it's simple as that. And we're going back into the land in glory. And not to serve fear, as these men are on the fear every day. All right? But you see how these devils play games? Now it says here, Ephraim is my firstborn. Ephraim here represents Israel as a whole. So why the hell was he just talking about Jewish people then? Why was he talking about? There's nowhere in this writing was it trying to specifically speak to Jewish people or Judea. So what's your point? Even though when this prophecy was written, it was the Judeans that were there. All right, the word was not. It was for all Israel, as you can clearly see. The subject matter wasn't Jews. The subject matter was all Israel, all the families of Israel. So why did you feel the need to do all that Jewish talk? All right, but I want to jump down to this. It says, declare it in the isles of far off. Again, God emphasized the good news of Israel's restoration must be proclaimed to all nations, to the most distant parts of the earth. Why? Why? Because that's where Israel is scattered. And that's what we've been teaching. He who scattered Israel will gather him. The themes are repeated for emphasis. God will not be finished with Israel, as Israel until they are gathered. What do you mean, not be finished with Israel as Israel? Until they are gathered again in the land in the latter days. So he's still trying to push that, okay, but then the Lord's not going to deal with them. He's going to be dealing with the church. This is foolishness, man. Ransomed him from the hand of one stronger than he. God promised to rescue the Jewish. Here we go. See? You see what I mean? Where did it say anything about Jewish people? God promised to rescue the Jewish people from captivity, held in bondage by those stronger than he, both in a natural and spiritual sense. All right? I mean, do you see my point? It's talking about the Israelites, and that shows you that we're in captivity in these last days. These people are demons, man. But you see quite clearly, this is the good news. And then in the same, because he gonna go in, go with the curse of that Israel for a little while in the chapter. And then right at the bottom, what does it say here? A new covenant. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass that, like as I have watched over them to pluck up and break down and to throw down, right? This is talking about both the houses, all the families, and to destroy and to afflict. So I watch over them to build, to edify. And that's what this ministry is for, no? The edification of the body of Yahushua. The body of Yahushua is represented by all the families, right? The government of Yahushua, is it not 12,000 from each tribe? So I'll watch over them to build and to plant, saith the Lord. In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten a sour grape, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eateth the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. So that's all the sinners of my people shall die. Right? Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. That's all the families of Israel. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I'll forgive their iniquity. And how is their iniquity going to be forgiven? Through Yahushua, through the Messiah. And I will remember their sin no more. So the Messiah is the one that's going to do all this. And it's for Israel. So what's these guys talking about? And this is all also written in Revelations. And thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and the stars by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me. So what are we seeing here? That the Lord is dealing with the seed, the physical seed of Israel. So this idea that the Israel of God is anyone is absolute folly, because we quite clearly the Lord is only dealing with a specific seed of people physically. Thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured and the foundation of the earth searched out, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. All right. And that's the point on that, which that can't be done. So the Lord ain't going to do that. All right. That's why Paul said what he said. And thus all Israel shall be saved, So yeah, Lord willing, that's been edified, man. Again, the scriptures say what they say, man. And these goofy Christians is losing. Because what the scriptures say, we're backed up by it. And we're doing what the scripture said to do, which is proclaim that among the nations. So it's that I'm going to say shalom.